Derivatives trading involves substantial risk of loss and is not suitable for all investors. Past performance is not necessarily indicative of future results.
So stressful when the world's on fire. Good God. I can't look at this, guys. Like, my strategy is you buy it and you hope that you got a good spot. Yeah, but we all think you're crazy. You don't fight this. No way. The markets are freaking out and you don't think that anything is wrong? Come back tomorrow and I'll lose it all. Should be fun. Good morning, everybody. Well, it's Friday. We've had an interesting week, shortened week, of course, with the holiday. The story still appears to be the Wuhan coronavirus still spreading. This is kind of a situation where, what I know about news and the way that things go, this issue is likely to be exaggerated, and that the impact on markets ends up being a lot less than expected. But this is also probably an area where the amount of information that we actually get about the virus and what we know about its spread and what can actually happen is very likely to change. And so our edge on news might not really be very reliable or tradable at that point. So, but we've been moving up generally throughout the weekend. We've had some okay trades. Come over here to the charts. Yesterday, pretty decent sell-off in the indexes. Came down and tagged that 3305, but then that was like it. And then they came back and we're actually look like we're gonna open at all-time highs again. You can't be stopped. Here's the treasuries. Treasuries still highly elevated, and we're still within this area where 129.24 half or so. There was a big point of control there from way back in December when we were really uppity about the trade war and stuff. And then we came back up there during the Iran crisis. Now we're up there because of coronavirus. But I think that the truth here is that the larger term pressure appears to be up, as the Europeans are still buying, which is quite surprising. At some point, I think that it's going to give, perhaps later in the year, and it could be really ugly. But for now, they continue to buy it up. So that's kind of where we're at now. Because it's Friday, what it's actually going to do can be, I have a really hard time on Friday. So the way that, my edge has been, the edge that we're testing has done really well this week, but we've had some updates this week, so it's kind of been favorable action for it. I don't think that it's always going to be like that. And what is it going to be like on a Friday? Well, what do we got in here? We got flash manufacturing PMI and flash services PMI at 9:45, so 15 minutes after the market open. Not typically a huge number, but it is going to be an important one to look at. And just looking at the market right now, the activity level has been very, very tight and low. So that's kind of where we're at. John, good morning, John. Hey, so I was wondering, two things. First of all, you don't have to worry about me getting what is the word? I feel like that I can be a pretty annoying person sometimes. So you don't have to worry about me getting upset about anything, right? I was concerned that I had pushed you a little bit too far. I don't know if it works. And you were like, oh, well, I'll show you it's going to work. Watch. Which maybe, that's what you really should do. Is it seems like you have a pretty good understanding of a lot of this stuff, and you should just be trading it and see what it gives us over a month. But on the thing about the E-micro, I was just wondering, is this primarily because you don't want to have to open up two charts and, you want to use a chart trader? And because I was thinking about it and I was like, well, you should definitely be basing your analysis off of the ES. But if we're talking about where a bar closed, a 5-minute bar, and they're 2 ticks off, Does it really matter? Probably doesn't really matter. It might be useful for telling other people to give the same price. So if that's the case, then maybe what we could do, in fact, like let's just pull it over here. So here's my ES 5-minute one. I'm wondering if we can go into the indicators here on our TFC levels and just change this. So like, well, I don't know how we would do this necessarily. Like maybe you could have the other series on the chart and just like hidden or something and use that as your input price so that it would still read out to you the ES levels or something like that. But that might be too much work. It probably doesn't really matter. But now that I kind of understand, I think why you were saying what you were about it. It makes sense why you do it that way. I really wish NinjaTrader had a better way to just be like, yes, the chart that I'm showing you, yeah, too much work, says John. I wish there was a way in NinjaTrader to make it so that it would say, yes, the instrument that I'm looking at here is ES, but when you send the trades, send them to MES. I wish there was a way to do that. I don't think that there is. As a feature they should add. My understanding is some platforms have that, but I don't think that neither NinjaTrader nor Jigsaw have it. I bet you Jigsaw gets it soon. That seems like something I they're all over the micros. And it probably really doesn't matter unless you're looking at unless you're trying to look at cumulative delta or something, Well, that got me thinking about another thing with that edge. So I'm not too sure about the 1-2-1 thing. I think he's saying that if you have a normal bar, or an inside bar followed by a normal bar followed by an inside bar, that's a setup or something like that. But I mean, we also had this thing where it was like, I only trade off one chart, so I have the chart. I plan to enter trades off as right in front of me while the longer term stuff is on another monitor. Yeah, okay. Jerry is awake, says just put up a DOM. Yeah, but John is just using NinjaTrader. I've tried to convert him over to using the DOMs like this, but he is unconvinced at their utility. Which I understand because he is much more of a swing trader. He's much more of a swing trader than the rest of us. Okay, so here they're moving down. Was there some pulling on the? Yes, there was. Actually, some stacking on the offers, in fact. Interesting. Very interesting. Hold on a second. There we go. So I was thinking though, like, maybe the issue is the timing of it. Like, it seems to me like when we get these signals, it is very often the case that the location that you want to take the trade or that we've identified as the entry on these trades is really congested. And sometimes that it just wobbles around a little bit too much in that area for comfort. Maybe the signal should be like, okay, we want to take a trade here, but then we should be waiting for some sort of a confirmation.
Bot says not unconvinced of their utility. Unconvinced in my ability to coagulate all those numbers in my brain and use the results to enter a trade with.
Well, you know what, John, though? I think that the main utility of the DOM is just my ability to instantly enter a trade at any price instantly. You know what I mean? Like if you get rid of these two middle columns and like make it all short, I still think it's useful just to be able to say, 33, exactly, instantly like that. And it's a little faster than the chart trader. That's my favorite thing.
Bot says personally, I'd rather enter off a footprint chart, to be honest.
Can you do it off of the footprint chart? Probably you can't do it exactly like this, but that would be so cool. Oh my gosh, now I have to try it. No, we'll try that in a second. So my thinking was, we need to find something that's better at the number, because I'm not so sure that the close of a bar is a good number. We need to find something that is like some sort of a.
Bot says you can do that with the chart trader by removing the confirm trade condition.
There is that. It's still 2 clicks because you have to right click the chart, right? Mm-hmm. Move back up. That's interesting. A lot of pulling. A lot of pulling. So that move down was probably a trick. In fact, it is now telling me I can buy it. Wow. Okay. Well, let's see how this one goes.
Uzi Knesset says morning.
Good morning, Uzi. We'll try it in a bit, but I think that what we should do is we should try to find some things that have really solid excursion properties. So maybe it's a trade that we go through and we back test it, and it doesn't necessarily have the greatest probability in the world, but when it does win, the number of ticks that you have that go against you is very few. So it's really good at identifying a spot that's not going to get taken out, right? The impulse thing that we had before might be a good candidate. I thought that tended to do a good job at getting you a little bit of favorability, and then if it really was going to go, it wouldn't come back on you, you know? So we could have something like, okay, this is the trade, but then we determine to actually take the price and confirm the entry using something else. And then we don't end up with that situation where it fiddles around with your price too much. You know what I mean? And that could mean that we're a little bit late to it. But with some of these trades, like just for instance, especially that outside bar hammer setup, which seems to be, I don't think that you can take it every time that it shows up, but man, when it shows up, it sure can reverse, right? That could be one that, okay, you see the bar, maybe you wait 2 or 3 bars to get into it, you'll be late, yeah, but in the E-mini, the amount that it's going to go, it's not going to matter, So I think that we should maybe once we do some programming work on, because we've got to fix the pivots and we got to maybe do some more back testing on the actual bar setups. But then after that, I think that we need to do a little bit more work on something that gives us a price. You know what I mean? Because I'm not so sure that the close of a bar is the best price to enter the trade. Which also reminds me, because Rich, I missed a message from Rich. I don't think he's in here yet, but he was saying that he had written like 2 or 3 pages of like a trading strategy, and like when he went through, he was like, "There's no way that Seth would be able to follow all of this." And I was just thinking, tell me, how do you pick your price? That's the thing that I'm most interested in right now. Is if you're not DOM trading, I mean, because if you're DOM trading, it's a different thing. Although if you're DOM trading and you're DOM trading on the E-mini, then I care, because I can pick a price on this ladder, right? Like I can see at 26.5 that they're going back and forth there, right? That's the balanced price right now. I hit into an iceberg, so it's not
Bot
optimal.
says on the TFC indicator. Bot says I think we need something like the impulse trader that looks for entries based on entering off the extreme of an inside bar in the direction that you have TFC on at least the hourly block.
Gotcha. Looks for entries based on entering off the extreme of an inside bar in the direction that you have the TFC on at least the hourly block. Right. So you identify that you have a probabilistic edge that it's going to move up, and that is in line with what the time frames are. Then it tries to enter in at the bottom of that bar with an impulse. Exactly. And then you would be very unlikely, if the trade works out, it'd be very unlikely to go past it. Yeah, you're totally, I think you totally understand what I'm getting at. Okay, looks like this is working out. This trade is kind of nice
Bot
because I got
says
a couple of
e.g.
things to do
TFC on
together.
the hourly is green, up, you enter off the top of an inside bar.
Off of the top of an inside bar. Okay. But that's kind of where I'm saying that, like, so if we look at this one, for instance, like if I just look at the top of an inside bar, right? It seems to me that for some reason those prices end up becoming prices that people like to trade. You know what I mean? We need to find something that is a price that people don't want to trade, so that we take a probabilistic edge in an area that nobody else wants to trade, and then it's unlikely to go through us. You know, like if I was going to take a trade, I would want to take it down in here. They don't want to trade it in here. Then it goes up, and then when it does come down, look, it's stopped like right there. It's like
Bot
they don't
says
want
on
to
that
trade that
chart
price
you'd be
yet.
in 2 bars in front of that bar you're pointing at.
You mean this one right here? I think you'd be in right there, right?
Bot says the one with the diamond on it.
Yeah, gotcha. See, that's where I'm saying that, like, how often was that price touched, right? I'd feel more comfortable if I'm in a price that, like, once I get in it, it doesn't get touched very often afterwards. So, like, the nice thing about the Y-at trade is that, like, once you got it, like, it tends to just go. And, like, if it goes 5 minutes and it's still at the same price, then I know that it's probably not good.
Vincenzo C says, are you looking for spots to enter without regard for direction?
Um,
Bot says, but overall in that area you are showing an inside bar and an hourly block.
Yeah. This is a really bad example, isn't it? I was just kind of looking at. Yeah, I'm just trying to show you on this chart.
Bot says so you would not be entering there.
Because there's not an entry in here, but I'm just saying, in general, my observation that I'm seeing is that inside bars are places that they like to trade. Like, after the inside bar forms, they seem to like to trade it again. That's what I'm getting at. So Vincenzo, I think we're kind of talking about, like, I don't know what you mean by, like, without regard for direction, but I think that what we're saying is that we already have some other things that we feel are pretty good at telling us the long-term direction, but those things are not giving us good entry locations. So we're looking for something that might not have a super great probabilistic edge, but that when it does work out, the excursion that you can have against you isn't very much. So ways of determining your price. In the 10-year, I can do it just from looking at it. And I can kind of explain a little bit about how I do it, but it doesn't always work out. But a lot of what I'm just doing is I'm looking to see how stubborn an individual price is. Like this one right here, I don't think I would be taking this trade if it wasn't in line with all of this strategy that we're testing. Because they're iceberging at 27.
Jerry is awake, says Vlap Touch.
Sure. VWAP Touch could be one. Yeah, they tend to go through the VWAP for just a few, but you're right. Once you're there and it's doing the VWAP bounce, that's a great one because they usually don't pierce that for more than like 2 ticks, right? Yeah, see this one I'm not terribly excited about because 5,000 is a lot to go into 27 and you would like it to just pull.
Bot says their theory is to be entering mostly off reversals, preferably at the extremes that they've plotted with their diagonal lines off prior outside bars.
Well, that might help because a lot of the ones that I've been taking have not been like in those locations, have they? Part of it is just the nature of the E-mini, you know. It's really hard, I think, to get a good spot in the E-mini. I think it's just the nature of the instrument, I guess.
Bot says still difficult to program.
Yeah, well, and we're still a little. I think we have some ideas about the outside bars, but we haven't been able to like completely pin it down, have we? Not into code, at least. That one, it's hard to know if the outside bars are like a real thing or if there's something we're doing in our heads that we don't realize after the fact that. Hmm. So this inside area, the bid pulled a little bit and then stacked up again. It looks to me like the buyer does want to push it up through, but there's just too much absorption at 27, and I don't know if they can really push it through there. I'm just a little surprised that they traded 44.83 at 26 half and now 48 at 27. The momentum seems to be in line though. Well, they took a tick up that time. Okay, so when I was entering this, it was at 23. So that's saying that we should be able to get 26 in ZB. Hmm. I don't know. It could tick back down and then be another huge iceberg. Ugh. You know, so on another note, of these EMAs that we got here, the way that ZB moves around those EMAs is not what I expected at all. I would say that 90% of the time it is above or below it. Like it's probably touching them maybe like 10% of the time. And when they go through, they cross it. Right? They cross it. They'll completely go through it, and then you get this trend like all of the bars are above it. Not what I expected off of an EMA. Not that EMAs are something that I've looked at a ton. But you can even see here on this one, they came down to there and they bounced off of it. Okay, uptick. Didn't give in on that one though. Now that we're here, let's.
Bot says so you know you can only look long on the right side of that chart.
You can only look long on the right side of that chart. What do you mean? I'm only looking long when I see two bars completely above it and the point of controls are moving up, and of course the the CCI is going up too. So they're gonna iceberg at 27.5 again. The cumulative delta in this area in the 10-year is interesting because even though there's a lot of orders hitting into 27.5 and getting absorbed, the overall cumulative delta is actually flat. So you would expect the cumulative delta to be rising in that situation, but there actually is some counterflow that I guess I'm not seeing as well. So on this one, I think what I do is I take off the volume profile and I change the bars to, okay, ooh, really strong uptick there. That's great. That is great. Wow. Volumetric. Thank you. Oh, that's really nice. That one just, if I was just purely looking at order flow, I would not have been able to take that trade, man. Because there was just so much absorption. Okay. Yeah, see, I wish that if I left clicked on one of these numbers, that would be a trade. Wait, well, we got to turn on the, which one is it? The chart trader. I'll turn it on and like put it over there so that you can see. But like, you know, you still have to do it like right click, buy here. This is what I don't like. I wish that it was just if I left clicked right here, it would buy. You know?
Gary Rich says, well, good morning, boys and girls. How's your Friday?
Hey, we just caught 3 there. So far, pretty good. And we were looking for 26. It gave us 27, 20, maybe even 28 in ZB. I don't know if that means that it's likely to turn back around, but John is saying that Wyatt was very insistent that he only take 3. So that's the way that we're gonna test it for now.
Uzi Knesset says 28 is upside value target.
Oh, okay. So Uzi actually does have some inkling of that it'd have a hard time getting past that. So if you missed what we were talking about earlier, Uzi, we were talking about ways that we could possibly pick better prices in the E-mini. Of course, the best way to do it is to just wait for Ace to give us a number, but something where you already know what direction you have and you already have a good setup, but you just don't like the price and you want a better price.
Says lol.
So that's kind of what we're talking about. Could try it with the impulse thing. Maybe here a little bit later, when it calms down, we could try looking at like adding the impulse indicator onto it or something, and then going back through the week and finding some of the trades that we think we would have wanted to take, and see if there were impulses that we could have traded, and if that would have helped us on adverse excursion. Well, if they started building some volume here at 25, then that would be what we're looking at for. That is definitely over, but not definitely over, but an indication that it's coming over. Mm-hmm. What do we got? We got 26, half, and 28, right? Oh man, that was just too perfect. Too perfect. I mean, maybe we could have taken 26. Maybe. Like, actually, well, no, we took it when it was at 23.
Smash the Bid says order flow entry is such a small part to a strategy.
Yeah. Well, I mean, do you have, any ideas or hints that you guys have is useful. The question is, how do you pick your price? And if you have a way of picking your price that is not based on order flow, that interests me in particular. Not because I doubt the efficacy of the order flow entry or anything like that, but just I want to program it, and it's easier for me to test it and back test it and everything if it's not just based on order flow. Right. So I think that that's something that technical analysis might be good at, is being able to give us a good entry spot. Maybe we could do it based off of going through a, Bollinger Band or something like that. Although I don't know if in the areas that we're looking for that would ever happen, because we have an entry signal. The thing that we're looking at is we have a pretty good entry signal, but it just seems to me that the price that you get the entry signal at is not necessarily where you want to take it. Yeah, they kind of jerking it around here still at 27 and 27.5. And it's building the volume up at 25 in the ZB. So that does kind of seem to confirm what we saw there, that we got our 3 ticks and that should be enough. And also Uzi saying that 28 was the upside value target. They kind of tagged that and have come back. It might be difficult for them to go through until the equities, like I suspect that they've made their move and that they're going to rest a little bit or range. I could be so totally wrong, though. Somebody just maybe really wants to buy
Uzi Knesset
treasuries.
says take a chart. Put 1 period MA on it set to median, displace it by 1.
Set to median and displace by 1. Okay, so I'm going to copy my 5-minute chart on the E-mini, because this is the chart that we want to execute off of.
Uzi Knesset says give it a look-see grinning face with big eyes.
Okay, so you're saying a simple moving average of 1 period. Can you displace by 1? Yes. Huh. Well, that looks cool, but how does that help me per se? So is that to say, if we were to buy it right now, let's just say for the sake of argument that we had a valid entry signal right now?
Uzi Knesset says set to median, make display square not line.
Okay.
Uzi
Alright.
Knesset says you have it set to close, you have to change data series to median.
Oh. So you're saying median, and you say what did you say here? Make display a square instead of a line. Oh, sure. So that you get the little zigzaggy. Gotcha. Oh, okay. So we're saying if we wanted to buy it, that we would want to buy it below this line? Boom, trigger line. So
Uzi Knesset says boom, trigger line.
I had never. Wow.
Uzi Knesset says put on higher time frames too.
Sure. So we have let's just change this one to 15-minute.
Gary Rich says, uh-oh, Seth becoming into the dark magic. Wise young Padawan.
Why is young Padawan? Oh yeah, so
Uzi Knesset says same settings. Use it with your time frame continuity principle.
gotcha. So Gary, you made a comment yesterday that I missed, and like I was watching it on replay and was like, how did I miss that comment? But you were saying that you were writing
Bot
the
says
thing.
no, you would buy a rising trigger line and sell a falling trigger line.
Maybe okay. So you were saying that you had like written something out, but it was like several pages and everything like that. And I was thinking, like, let's just start small. The thing that I think we're investigating the most right now is price. So I would be interested in how do you trigger a specific price, and I'd be interested particularly in technical analysis things that I can put on to determine a price, because those are back testable. That's why I'm interested in
Uzi
that way.
Knesset says I give you an ingredient, make your own meal lol.
Yeah, totally. Well, with the way that he's giving it, I guess what this line is basically telling us is this is what the average price in that bar was, and it's showing us if we're above or below that average price, right? So if we are able to buy it below that line, then generally that means that we got a good price. So, John, you were saying you would want to buy a rising trigger line and sell a falling.
Uzi Knesset says no 50% point of every bar.
50% point of every bar. So, if we had an actionable signal here, let's just say that it was the break of the bottom of this bar and we wanted to sell it, then I would want to try and get it above this line. And
Gary
then
Rich says I recycled this strategy from 2003. Just adapted it to current environment.
That might not happen here though. So maybe I'm wrong. I'm probably wrong on that.
Uzi Knesset says great for momentum, weakness in turning points.
Sure. So let's take this back a bit. We can do that because I didn't put this on the one that I'm going to trade off of. I'll put it on there later. But yesterday,
Uzi Knesset says just like everything else lol.
When was it? Okay, so here's
Ace Trade says morning.
23rd. Hey Ace, how's it going? Okay, so it was right here. So let's say that we see this signal here. This bar closes. Now we're on this bar. I want to buy below this line. I could potentially get, or let's just say at this line, 3303.25.
Bot says if you have a copy of my ear SMA, it would give you a rising, falling color option.
I don't know if it matters.
Ace
if
Trade
it's rising
says
or
looking
falling,
for a short, maybe 3,332.25. Lucas says morning at ACE Trades. I have a short signal at 32.50. Do you agree? Ace Trade says agree.
Oh, Lucas has it. Did you tell Lucas?
Lucas says yay.
Did you tell Lucas how to do it? So if we bought it at that line, you would have had 2 ticks adverse excursion on you. See? That's kind of I don't know if that's the way that we want to do it, but that's the kind of thing that I'm talking about. Well, I kind of like you guys' trade. And I see here, right here, for me, well, hold on. Oops, I don't want to do it that way. I don't know.
Uzi Knesset says last 2 weeks. Uzi Knesset says I listen to you guys talking about stuff, devise and test in my own little universe here. That SMA setting on 1H for quick bias, 5M for trigger plus order flow has been baller for me for the
For the last 2 weeks, he says. SMA setting on 1 hour, 5-minute for trigger and order flow. Curious. Well,
Uzi Knesset says, and I am trading real money on it.
The thing that I find so interesting about that is that you did 2 things with it that I've never done on a moving average indicator before. You're not using the close, you're using the median, and you're displacing it by 1. Those are 2 things that I've never done. And that is incredibly interesting to me. Well, it looks like it could have gotten the price. Kind of jumped the gun there.
Uzi Knesset says, I only displaced it for display purposes. Want to see last bar midpoint on current bar. My lazy eyes and all lol.
Yeah, I gotcha. But it makes sense, right? Have to add it here.
Jerry is awake says no option for medium for me.
Median. Are you using NinjaTrader? Might not be an option in other things. But if you're on NinjaTrader here when this is over,
M says, do you see the big orders on S at 3340, 3344? Jerry is awake says yes.
No, I don't actually. Oh, yes. Oh, that's interesting. Those are really big too, comparatively speaking. I understand why you're pointing that out, Em. Oh, by the way, we should do this.
Uzi Knesset says, I took all's TFC principle. Open charts for all those TFs. Put that on every TF. Mix with order flow, works very well in good momentum environments. Gary Rich says it's this simple. Heiken Ashi candles, 10 per WMA, 10 per Ehlers-Fischer transform, ATR 7 and ATR 3. Think about what this shows you. When above WMA, go long, vice versa, easy scalping. Bot says look for HLC 3 in place of median at Jerry is awake.
Let me copy and paste that and we'll look at it a little bit later. $10 per WMA. What's Ehlers-Fischer transformation is something that I'm not familiar with either.
Jerry is awake says okay. Gary Rich says weighted moving AVG.
Weighted moving. Is that a volume weighted moving average or just the weighted? Is that one in? Okay.
Gary Rich says 10 period.
Okay, I got it.
Gary Rich says weighted no volume.
Gotcha. Well, we had some good, like, favorable ticks down in the E-mini, and then it moved back up. I might have to cut this loose. The treasuries, though, ticked up there pretty strongly. Remember, we took 26.5 to 28. Now it's at 29. It came back quite a bit, though.
Uzi Knesset says stingy sellers forcing bidders up face with tongue.
Yeah. Think so? I am noticing though that on this move up that the bidders are stacking below us. So this reminds me a little bit of the move that we had 2 days ago, was it? Where they stacked really strongly as they moved. This is not quite as extreme as that.
Lucas says up finger.
Yeah, looks like they want him to hit him at 30 and 30 half maybe.
Uzi Knesset says trying to convince big sellers to come down lol. Failing haha. Ace Trades says at Lucas it should move more by now.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Well, the thing that bothers me about this so far is that the cumulative delta since we've been in it kind of came up a little bit. Now it's gone nowhere, so there's a chance that there's a sell, and we might just need to give it a little bit more time. But I'm kind of like right here on the edge of thinking about cutting it.
Lucas says at ACE Trades I placed a 1-point stop. That about right? Gary Rich says when it gets above the WMA wait for a couple candle to confirm, check ATR to see what the range is. Ha candles display clear and clean versus normal red green candles which causes indecision.
Okay. Well, when we're out of this one, we'll create another chart and I'll add all of that stuff on there.
Ace Trades says at Lucas depends on your risk, but yes, that is what I would recommend. Tighten mine to 3 ticks.
And by the way, now that we've done that. So there was a little bit of buying there and we've ticked down. If we get below 33, 31 or so, I think that some of those longs are going to start puking. Yeah.
Uzi Knesset says boom. Uzi Knesset says big guy at 60 gonna force buyers. Ace Trades says at Lucas take profit at 1 point if you have multiple contracts, move all but one to break even. Ace Trades says there we go 1 point.
That's good.
Lucas says only one lot, disappointed face. Algo Lover says 8:21 a.m. Algo Lover S if buyers maintain bid above 3,327, then 3,340 target. If 3,327 breaks before that target trades, then anticipate a deeper pullback nerd face. Algo Lover says 8:37 a.m. Algo Lover CL if sellers maintain their offer below 56, then 54.50 target. If 56 goes bid first, then anticipate squeeze higher nerd face.
Interesting. 27 is not where I expected him. That's okay. Well, they could do that before the open. Still a couple more guys here to be squeezed.
Algo Lover says S coming into its PB now face with rolling eyes.
Yeah, I get what I hear what you're saying. Right. Algo Lover is suggesting to us
Lucas says I took the point, maybe too early.
That for the moment, based on the larger moves, this is probably a pullback. And until we get below 27, we're still in that territory.
Ace Trades says at Lucas nope, you made money, you can always get in another trade.
Okay, well.
Algo Lover says HAGD, thumbs up.
Thank you, man. Thank you for stopping by.
Lucas says at ACE Trades thumbs up. Ace Trades says I'll be in the kitchen if anyone needs me.
So these two definitely shared some information outside of, and now I'm thinking, so how did they do that? Where did they do that? Hmm. Well, see, my issue here is if I had taken the price that I should have, then I would have been happy with where I'm at right now. But because I didn't, I'm a little disappointed.
Ace Trade says at Lucas, I don't know where else you are going to get someone to give you $50 for clicking your mouse for 4 minutes.
Oh man. Yeah, I really want to know how he picks that price.
Ace
That
Trade
one
says
period
Seth, no
MA.
information shared. I have no idea why he picked that.
Oh, you have
Uzi
no idea
Knesset
why
says you'll
Lucas
see that
picked
one
that?
period MA will hug candles really snugly
That's
when the momentum
interesting.
is there.
But you guys were just so close. Hmm. I'm surprised how that
Lucas says at
ZB is at
ACE trades
160.
lol true, can't beat that.
We were definitely right when we took our profit that first time, and there was a pullback and everything. But now this further push up was way stronger than I anticipated. See, this is not good.
Lucas says oh no we didn't talk outside of this chat. I
Oh,
began
okay.
paying more attention to S yesterday and found some interesting stuff.
Okay, that was okay. The thing that I find interesting about what Algo Lover came in and told us was that like that 27 seems really close, and the pattern has been that they sell into the open. And I I think that if we get that pattern again, that there's a pretty good chance they could break that. And yesterday we had a pretty good sell, and like they ran out of steam really quickly. You know what I mean? So would they be able to break it? I'm just thinking like from the perspective of closing your trades out for the weekend and everything else like that, like uh, if you're concerned about the coronavirus, just about anything could happen over the weekend for that. So that would be like a huge risk on my mind, and could be a really good explanation for why the treasuries have been able to move up the way that they have. They weren't able to hit into 30.5, by the way. And quite a bit at 30, so they might have to chew around here for a bit to get through that if they do.
Gary Rich says at ACEU Brave, the range is tighter than a virgin on supposed prom night, current range 2.3 to 1.82 tight for me to bite.
Well, he had an okay spot though, and he's only looking for 2 points.
Jerry is awake says LMAO.
No, then like that. Yeah. Hmm. So they're trying to come back up here, but they're getting a little bit of fight. At what point do we take the day negative? Oh, that's way down there actually. 26.
Gary Rich says I'm trying to spear the big fish like a grouper or whale shark.
Hmm.
Uzi Knesset says counter signal now on ZB on small TF, see how she handles it.
All right. Look at them come down.
Uzi Knesset says offers are moving down, stacking, maybe a few ticks in it.
And there they took me out. I have nobody to blame on that one but myself. Okay. I might have to... I think I have Hike and Ashy candles. Yeah. Do 5-minute bars. Okay, now remind me what makes Hike and Ashy. Means average bar in Japanese. Spot market trends and predict future prices. Hike and Ashy shares some characteristics, but uses a modified formula of close, open, high, low. The close is 1/4 is the average. Okay, so the close is the average of the open, close, low, close. But not the high. Average price of the current bar. The open is the midpoint of the previous bar. Okay. Kind of a similar thing to what we were doing with that moving average then, huh? Okay. Then he said
Uzi
a weighted
Knesset says
moving
yeah.
average. Weighted moving average with 10 on here. And then he says Euler's Fisher transform. That I don't think is something that I have. And he might have spelt it wrong. He might meant Euler's. I don't know. EH. Well, there's a Fisher transform right there. I've never put that on there on something. 10 on that. And then some ATRs. So he has 7 and 3 on these. Just think about what this shows you when above WMA, go long, vice versa. Okay. Do I have stochastics? Oh yeah, I added stochastics on this. Okay, what does the Fisher transform do? Okay. Converts prices into a Gaussian normal distribution. In this way, the indicator highlights when prices have moved to extreme based on recent... how have I not known about that? So, okay. I have like way too much stuff on here, so let's simplify this down a little bit now. Okay. We don't need those. So I think that we put the ATRs on here just to kind of get an idea of how far it can go, right? This right here is perhaps our reversal signal, by the way. Oh yeah, so let's
Gary
add the
Rich
thing
says
that
I
we
tell
had
you,
before.
dark magic baby, ancient Chinese secret exempt me not Chinese lol.
So let's add the thing that Uzi gave us earlier, right? One period,
Gary Rich says
displacement.
ATR is there to verify how much range is available.
Right. Gotcha. That's what I mean, that's how I use ATR. Seems like ATR is like a way underrated indicator. Do squares. Okay. So at the moment, oh, how come it's not? Oh, wait, what? How is that possible?
Uzi Knesset says cell signal playing out in ZB. Few ticks in lol.
Yeah, that's a good one. In fact, I think it could come back to 25. So I'm just looking at this. I don't know if you're still there, John. Can you explain this? It says here that the open of this hour was at 33.75.
Gary Rich says remember if you have a 5 minutes chart with 7 ATR, it's the previous 35 minutes range.
Okay. And it's different. It must have something to do with the Heiken Nishi bars or something. It just seems like that indicator is broken. Because if I look at my other 5-minute chart, it's telling me that the open was here, and it's giving me green on everything now. It's telling me
Bot says I'm here. What are you looking at?
So let me bring it back over here. So the dotted line on this one, within the bar 33, 32, 75 in ES. On this one, it has it at 33.75. So now
John Smith says 7 period ATR is the 7 period moving average of the range of each bar.
Yeah. Now I understand how the ATR works. So anyways, it's something about it being Heiken Nishi bars, I guess, gives
John
it the
Smith
wrong price.
Says range is high-low.
Gives it the wrong price. So I guess our indicator doesn't work on Heiken Nishi bars. I don't know. It's weird. This is really weird. But it's green on all time frames. But we want to get close to this line, right? What's your thought on that, Uzi? That if I want to buy it, I want to buy it like at this bar or above. See there, it's giving it to me on this bar. I think that we kind of already got the impulse that we wanted, so I don't know if I want to really buy it there, but well, because that thing doesn't actually work, I think that we should take these off. And I should take this off of this one.
Bot says the TFC levels does not work on volume, tick, range, or apparently Heiken Ashi bars.
Yeah.
Uzi Knesset says I have the tendency, in ZP mind you, to wait for a 5 meters candle to close above or below that trigger line for a signal. Says Seth, are trading live on the markets.
So,
Bot says it only works on time-based bars.
Yeah, it only works on time. Okay. I need to go back and look at that because it shouldn't be the case. It's well, you know what? I think I know what the problem is and how to fix it.
Gary Rich says you have to recode your indicator for Ha candles. Ha averages it by 4, it smooths it out. Look at Ha versus normal candles, big difference.
I know what the problem is now. I'm thinking back on my code, and it does pick the bar correctly. TFC levels is the one that I'm interested in, and it sets it based on the open here, which is wrong. And what we should do is we should do it. There's another indicator that will allow you to pick up what the price was at a specific time or something like that. I think there is, at least. Anyways, that's what we've got to do. I shouldn't be setting it based on open right there, because the Heikin bar changes what the open is. So there's another way to do it, and then it should work regardless of what type of bar it is. Okay, so right now we got a bar. It's actually going below that trigger line.
Bots says correct.
So let's just say, for instance, on this one, here was the signal that we got, right? Outside, well, a big bar followed by a hammer.
Bots says good news. It will work on tick charts then.
Yeah, probably. It will not.
Ace Trade says interested in a short at 3,332.75.
It come up. You never would have. Well, maybe you could have gotten it right here.
Ace Trade says
Maybe.
but close to open.
Yeah, it's really close to open. But, oh man.
Uzi Knesset says but see I use context too. I don't want to make you think that one line on one TF is everything lol.
No,
the order
I
flow and
understand.
higher TFs still matter.
The thing is like is simplify things to backtest it. You know what I mean? Like I can simplify something to backtest it, and I can say, okay, this line tends to have an edge because of X. And then when I actually trade it, I can use the other information that I have and kind of the fuzzy logic that we have built in to what is the word? Optimize it. Mm-mm-mm-mm. Hmm. And notice that they're having a really hard time trading into 33.33 now.
Lucas says there's good opportunities all the way down to 29.75, but I'm afraid I will wait for PMI. Uzi Knesset says I think if there's a big weakness to it, it'd be volatility. But you can use ATR filters for that to set appropriate stops. I've been rolling it since early this month on a 3 for 6 risk reward. Uzi Knesset says and it has been doing pretty well. Bot says do you remember the code you helped me with for that impulse strategy indicator where you plotted an entry based on the impulse signal going from 0 to 1 R-1?
Well, yeah, we were talking about that earlier, right? What about it? Or are you just thinking we should use that as our entry? I mean, maybe we could add that on.
Bot says sorry signal going from 0 to 1 or -1.
Yeah, no, yeah. I remember what you're talking about, of course.
Gary Rich says the one I gave you needs number 3 time frame lining up, purely range and trending only. Pure scalper's delight.
Okay. So when I look at the chart that you have here, Gary, I can see how some of the things are useful for sure. I'm not 100% sure where you figure it for that you trade them, because there's a lot of different ways that you could use those lines. But I when you say scalpers, like it's definitely showing me um where a good price may be. So I really like this Fisher transform on there, because the Fisher transform gives me a really good idea of how unusual the price that we're taking it at is. Like this 33.33 is right at point of control. And the Fisher transform going back 10 bars tells us that actually this is a pretty average price for the past 30 minutes. Something that, after having that up impulse that we had, I would not have seen on my own. Okay.
Ace Trades says 2 min.
Yeah. Well, we'll see if they sell it on the open like they've been doing or not.
Gary Rich says weird how F lines up to POC etc. Strange, I can't answer why, but it works.
In this case, it did, at least. Normally it wouldn't if we were further away, right? But if you've been trading within a range, then probably they will line up, right? Because the average price for that range is going to tend to be the point of control, and the the Fisher transform will probably line up with that. Now, is the EFT the same thing as the FT that I see built into NinjaTrader, or is there a slight difference? And maybe I need to go and get a new indicator. Okay, here we go. Selling into the open.
Ace Trades says wow, drop.
Yeah.
Bot says no, the same basic concept for the first bar where your hour block on the TFC goes from either red or gray to green for a long or goes from green or gray to red for a short, basically the signal bar. Bot says would be the first bar where that happens.
I've been noticing that we get this thing a lot where like it'll go green for like one bar. You were pointing a couple of those. I don't know if that's what you were intending to point out yesterday, but when you were showing me those ones yesterday, that was what stood out to me. Okay, so they breached the low of the previous hour.
Gary Rich says ooh, they bombing YM, let's go. Bot says e.g. the bar before the open here at 9:25.
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly what I'm talking about.
Bot says would signal a short.
It's green, but then as soon as it goes red again, it's like, okay, game on. It's like they fake people out for just a short moment and then turn back around. Okay, well, there's some pretty good selling on the open, but they seem to be pulling it out. And they're above that trigger line now, by the way.
John Smith says on S, we just tested yesterday's RTH high and reject so far.
Was that the RTH high? Hmm.
Gary Rich says damn came within 5 PTS of my YM short, waiting for a long at 290.
I'm going to regret getting out there, but I don't know why I did that, actually. Why did I do that? Well, so we did have a bar there that for a moment was a hammer. So that was making me really nervous. Now that they kind of took this down here, I think we could maybe think about taking it again, I guess.
Bot says I was only pointing that bar out as an example of where the TFC ribbon gave a color change.
Yeah. Well, I'm talking. That made me nervous for some reason. Okay, like this right here. This
John
happens
Smith
a lot.
says NVM not RTH, that was Globix open high.
There was one bar where it's all green and then it immediately went red again. They seem to head fake like that a lot.
Bot says nice.
I mean, I only took 8 ticks on that, and a part of me was saying, well, I want to be taking 8 ticks, and I don't necessarily want to let it run. But then we look at this, and it's like, well, geez, it could run. Now, if we get back below 33.27, then I'm definitely going to be looking for another entry here. And the main reason I took the one that we had there was because Ace was calling out a price, and I knew even though it was on the open, I was like, they've been selling into the open, and I don't have to take a whole lot of risk, so I don't know if it's really that bad of an idea. So it worked out. I could have taken more, though, for sure, right?
Bot says those 3 green bars in front of the open were all the other fraidy cats bailing out before the open.
Maybe. Well, here comes 27.
Ace Trade says how many points did you get?
I only took 8. I only took 2 points. It came back. I got the 2 points. It came back. It scared me out. So when it came back down again, I took it off, and that's when it ran. So, this is where if I was trading multiple contracts, I definitely would have left one on there, but okay, they bounced right off of 27. Holy crap. So I think that I have reason to be cautious here. Because there's definitely rejecting prices. So like what we had the open, they moved down, that price got rejected, it came back up, and then they pushed again. They made another new low, and now they got to the 27 that time, and it's rejecting it again. So I'm really hesitant to be taking a short until it's able to get past that line.
Bot says 27 was prior session's high.
Okay.
Ace Trade says did you break both of our rules and get in my signal? Gary Rich says
I
here
got
we
in
go
your signal.
245 short. Let's this shit started, throw your hands in the air, wave them like asses scared.
Because I said, I did. I said they sell this on the open every time. And I can use this line here to get a good price. And sure enough, they never win against me. So I don't know. Maybe I shouldn't have done that. I'm in a mode. Here's one of the things that I think we need
Uzi
to be
Knesset
careful
says
with
grinning
here.
face with big eyes.
Is because I'm ADHD and dopamine deprived. The one of the things that's going to get the dopamine going is variety. So coming in here and opening up a new chart with new stuff and things like that
Gary
is
Rich
going to
says,
get,
holy shit, are there some huge wicks?
is going to kind of get that on there and might cause some impulsiveness on my part. So that's that. When I was realizing that that's what was going on, that started to make me really nervous, and that's when I said I really should just take the 8 ticks because that's what we expect to get off of the signal, even though I really see potential for it to run. Because when I took it, I thought, well, they're gonna sell on the open and try and hit into 27, and then we see what happens. I think that if I had not taken the profit there, I would have hoped that I would have taken it off somewhere down in here, or that I'd be taking it off here. How much would that have given me if I had taken it off here? 31. Oh. Wait, how did that? Oh, 33. Yeah, that's right. 33 was where I got it. So I took it off at 31. I could have gotten 4 points, maybe 5 points. It's okay. So watching this on this chart here, Rich, it looks to me like you're suggesting, or sorry, not Rich.
Uzi Knesset says getting by signal now, so close to high though eek. Ace
Okay.
Trades says I think 2 points is great. $100 buck for sitting in your house.
Yeah, right. I actually think I'm getting some signals on my ZB. No, I am. No, I'm not. It's close. It's close. It's very close. Anyways, Uzi, it looks to me like you're saying you would buy or sell into it on the cross, right? And then on Rich's strategy, it looks to me like you want to take your biases, which side of that moving average you're on. Okay, so that move right there just ruined the setup. What just happened?
Lucas says PMI early release. Uzi Knesset says haha good thing I didn't touch it lol.
Is that what today is? Oh, hold on.
John Smith says the Russell is dropping off a cliff. Uzi Knesset says not on an immediate cross, usually wait for a 5 meters bar to close above it.
I don't.
If other TFs line up and flow read is good, I'll take it.
Okay.
IQM says long. Gary Rich says yesterday was flash PMI for everyone.
So we have flash manufacturing PMI and services PMI coming up in 45 minutes, and somebody was saying early release, but to my knowledge and just double checking it here, that's not one that gets released early to subscribers.
Ace Trade says
like
I don't think the PMI will make a mark on the market today.
So I don't know if that's what it was that moved it, but the impulse that we got in the markets off of there was incredibly bizarre. The treasuries fell down a couple of ticks, but then the E-mini is also down. So the market looks confused, frankly. is the best I can put it. The market looks confused to me.
Block buy.
Look at that. Block buy. 29 half. 3K bought at 29 half. I still can't take it. It's not clear.
Lucas says, what do you mean in 45 minutes? Gary Rich says at Ace, I agree, PMI is already baked in the cake. European session already gave the tell.
In a minute 30 seconds we get news. Data that is usually not very influential. I agree with what they're saying, but it is the number. They've pushed that 27 several times now.
Lucas says, oh, I thought it was early release lol.
No, I don't think it's an early. It sure acted like maybe it was an early release. I mean, like, I don't see anything else coming through on the... Yeah, I don't know. Well, let's open up our jigsaw here so that we can...
Ace Trade says at Lucas, you still in?
As fast as possible, right? So the estimate is for services 52.9 and market composite 52.5 and
Gary Rich says, here it come the bid ask on YM widen, it's getting volatile.
They have Chinese New Year listed as an economic release. And now we're above this midpoint line. Mm-hmm. 5 seconds. I'm not seeing any pull. Actually, I am seeing a pull now in the treasuries. Okay. Here comes. There's a move. Gonna give me the number? Give me the number. It looks like it's bad because the treasuries are bidding up. Okay. Services PMI 53.2 versus an expected 52.9. So under expectations, composite 53.1 versus an estimated 52.5. So above expectations. And the manufacturing of 51.7 versus 52.5. How did the composite end up being higher?
Lucas says at ACE trades no, took a quick long before at 28.50 and got out because was volatile.
Manufacturing was... Okay. Oh, sorry. The services was
Ace
better
Trade
than
says
expected.
It breaks below 27. She might run a bit.
Yes. That's what I am thinking as well. I'm thinking... Somebody really wants that line to hold. I don't think it's going to, though, given how the treasury's been up there. Oh, man. This is a little intense. Ugh.
Gary Rich says crude across the board down.
Now they're trading into 27 again.
Gary Rich says props to Algo Lover.
He definitely identified the price that matters. It's just a question of if we actually really break it or not. So they've traded one tick below it. I'm not seeing the stops yet. There was a few people bailed out there.
Ace Trades says there she goes.
See, look, they're fighting it though.
Bot says it's Seth. Check your Discord PM.
Okay. Hold on.
Air Cages says hey.
I'm nervous. Go. I really expected to see like a stop run. And they're selling into it, but that's not like a stop run, you know? Dang it. I mean, somebody is still buying it up. Okay. Ding, ding, ding. That's okay. I just paid for my commissions. It's cool. It's cool. What's John got here? Good picture. Oh yeah. He's pointing out these spots where the time frame flips around a bunch. Did they just puke? Oh man. So I got out and then they puked. That sucks. Oh no. Wait. No, we're fine. No, we're good. We're good. I think I did. I think I played that right. That was totally order flow reading right there. But I think based on the order flow that we're seeing in this location, I took the trade correctly because I wanted to see a stop run. I didn't see a stop run. And then after we did see people sell into it, I continued to see absorption and buying. So it could still go down, but that was not what we should see in the trade setup. And so we got out with a little bit of profit. Cool. Good. I'm happy. I'm happy with it. So when we get those flips, yeah, he's right. See, we get these little flips on the time frame indicators, and then you'll get a little bit of an impulse. So I don't know if this is because buyers and sellers are battling out over what the time frame is going to be, or if they're just messing with us. But you'll get this kind of nonsense here, and then boop, trend. It must be them fighting it out, right? So maybe that's another filter that we could put on. Oh, I don't know. See the issue that we're gonna run into. It's so funny when you just really start to get into the statistics on these things, right? Is that's probably something that increases the probability on our trade.
Air Cages says, hey Seth, how do you deal with grief? Sorry for the random question.
Oh man, I have to think about that for a second. Anyways, it's something that will probably increase the probability on our trade, but doesn't. But it might also decrease the average winner. So it may or may not give us additional edge. We'll see. How do you deal with grief? You know what? I think that the way that my mind works on these sorts of things is a little bit different. But I think that when your brain goes into a certain mode, so like grief, because I think that for the purposes of this discussion, we have to
Bot
think
says
of
what would
it.
decrease your average winners? Gary Rich
oh.
says lol good grief Charlie Brown.
Let me collect my thoughts on that one a little bit and answer John's question. So what I'm saying is, let's say that you wait for 2 green bars in a row. Like, you let it fiddle around a little bit, and then we wait for 2 or 3 green bars in a row. Then we're much more likely to be in a trend. So our probability on our trade is going to be better. But because we waited, it's already going to have come up a little bit. So we're not going to take as much out of the trade as we could have if we had taken it earlier. We're going to be late to the trade, essentially. So the average winner might go down. So it's a question of, well, it would almost certainly go down a little bit. Assuming that, like, it's still taking the same trades and that filter just kind of cancels out some of the bad trades. So it would kind of then turn into how much does it change the probability and how much does it change the average winner as to whether or not that gives us edge. That makes sense? So it's an idea that we should go back and do our strategy where we were testing just the time frame indicator and say wait for 3 green bars in a row or something like that, like a change, and then 3 green bars in a row, and then see what it does. Anyways, so grief. So I think that for the purposes of this discussion, you have to think about it as a chemical reaction. It is a chemical state that your body goes into that you really don't have a whole lot of control over. And that's the first thing that I think that you have to understand in order to overcome some of these challenges, right? Because what we normally tend to want to do is to say, well, I just shouldn't be depressed, right? Or I shouldn't let this disappointment in this trade or my disappointment in something that's happening in my life or loss of a loved one or whatever it is to bother me. But the simple fact of the matter is that it's going to bother you, and there's not a whole lot you can do to change it. Now they're going to go. So in those circumstances, like, I think when you're dealing with risk, of course you do everything that you can to reduce your risk so that when the bad thing happens, the amount that you're hurt by it is minimized. Okay, like think about when we're thinking about the whole financial system. We limit how much banks can trade and the limits that they have to trade with so that it's unlikely to create systemic risk. But we also have a fund set up so that if a bank does fail, there's a contingency plan for it. And when you get into that point, you're essentially in your contingency plan, right? So one of them is if you are in a particularly difficult spot, I just wouldn't trade. Trade it on sim, but don't trade it because it's going to affect your decision making. No question about it. When I have the baby, probably not going to trade any live trades for a little bit around that because I know that my emotional state is going to be different and my calibrations are all going to be off. So then in terms of digging yourself out of that hole once you're in it so you can get back to a spot where you feel like you can trade, there's a couple of things that you can do because like I said, it's an emotional state. It's like let's just like way oversimplify it. Let's just way oversimplify it and let's just say this line is your mood and you're down in here, right? And what do we want to have happen? We want to come back up here, right? And we want to come back up here as quickly as possible. We don't want to be like this, and we definitely don't want to be like this, right? So how do we do that? There are some mental exercises and so forth that you can do to kind of help stabilize your mood. And the topic that I would research, and I really can't give you all of this stuff in one point, but the topic that I would research is mindfulness. Mindfulness exercises are the things that are going to be most useful to you in this kind of situation. So it's going to be a lot of being aware of how you feel in any one particular moment and being more in touch with your senses than in analyzing the situation, which is also beneficial to trading in general, right? Which is why it's recommended that you meditate and things like that. It's because it's basically exercising parts of your brain. Okay. So that's how I'd approach it. I read a book called after my first wife left, called what was it called? It was like Dealing with Your Breakup. And she had like 4 mental exercises that she would go through. And some of them were mindfulness exercises. Like one of them was, but they were also kind of like thought stories in your head. Like one of them was a discussion between yourself and your inner child. Another one of them was like a thought of like a house. Like if you sit down and think about if you had absolutely no limitations and you were going to make a dwelling space for yourself, what it would be like. So I would always kind of lay out like the way that I would want things to be. Like if I could have anything, I would want to have like one room that was like really big room that I could put like huge speakers in and have a ton of people in, with an attached kitchen area. And then going over here, there would be next to that like a study and like a place you could like read, and maybe like a sunroom or something like that. And I would want to have another spot that's very far away from where all the noise is, that I could like have a studio in. Like I had like everything laid out. And kind of when you're thinking about that, you're exercising the part of your brain that is like imaginative and is like, let's think about something and then go out and do it. And as you do those sorts of things, it will help you deal with the grief. It will help you get out of it sooner, and you won't see it necessarily as it happens. But at the end, you'll look back and you will say, my brain does not work the same way that it did. It's better. It's more efficient at dealing with this thing. Uzi says, geez, all this for grief? Well, I'm going a little bit more into this than I would normally would on a simple question, because it can apply to a whole host of emotional issues that you can deal with in your life. Gary says, when you trade, you have no soul, no feelings, no remorse, no fear, pure dead inside. You can't be emotional. It's too dangerous. If you need a friend, buy a dog or a rabbit. Yeah, it's real simple. Markets don't care if you're sad, happy, sick, gay, but just suck it up. Wow, I don't agree with that. Like here's the thing, your emotional state affects your decision making. It absolutely does, no question about it. It just does. I don't know why that is. I know that there's this idea that you should be able to put your emotions aside from you, but you don't have any control over it, guys. When that chemical is going on, okay, the amount of dopamine and norepinephrine and serotonin that you have in your brain affects the way that the impulses trigger. You have no control over that. And you cannot consciously control the level of those chemicals in your brain. If you could, then I would not be ADHD, right? You cannot control those things. And so you have to be aware. You have to be aware that the emotions affect you, and there are things that you can do to change your emotional state, but there are times where you have limited control on it. And so it's much more important to be aware of what your state is and have, whoa, look at that, 30 half. Whoa, what the fuck? Anyways, you just got to be aware of it. Somebody bought that shit. Holy crap. Wow. I have never seen anything like that. What the heck was that? That is so crazy. I have seen situations where, like, maybe we're coming up and we trade into 31 half and there's 10K, and we trade evens and there's 10K, and there's 005 and there's 10K, and then they get through it and there's this huge breakout and everybody that faded that just gets blown out. But this thing where, like, we tick down and then he bids it up at 31 and 10,000 sell, and then we tick up and they do it again, like counter trend absorption like that, 10K twice in a row. I've never seen anything like that. That was insane. And that one impulse that just happened right there completely overshadowed all of the other delta changes for the whole session in the 10-year. This chart right here, look at that. That one candle is pretty much as big as the whole rest of the session. I have no clue what to do about that. The E-mini is turning back down though. It looked like that they were gonna hold 27, and now he's attacking it again. And look, he's hitting it again. I think that you buy this, but I really don't know. Wow. 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 Whoa. 4K bid at 31 half. What's going on? Wow. I've never seen absorption like that. Somebody must, man. If one can't control or fix their emotions when trading, you're destined to fail. Pure and simple, then all humans are destined to
Gary
fail.
Rich says if one can't control or fix their emotions when trading,
Then
you are destined to fail, pure and simple.
Then all humans are destined to fail in trading, because there are things about your emotions that you cannot control. Because it's chemicals. It's chemicals in your brain. You can't just all of a sudden decide I'm going to have more serotonin. It doesn't work that way. Understand what your emotional state is and adjust accordingly. And if you're in a bad state, like listen, if your sister died yesterday, don't
Gary
trade.
Rich says, well, you might fail, but I don't.
If your sister, and maybe you've not dealt with that before, but listen, if your wife left
Live
you
Action
yesterday,
says, sometimes I will catch the
don't trade.
algos hit one side over a range with size holding for reversal.
That was insane. Well, I said I think you buy it, but that was at 31, right? They might hit into 130 even and bust through. In fact, no, I still can't. Like, when I keep looking at the strategy that I'm supposed to be trading, I can't take a long here, but anyways, listen, if your wife left you yesterday, don't trade today. If your mom died yesterday, don't trade today. Just this.
Live Action says,
Block
I am trading
buy.
the Russell today. We
Boom. Okay, so they hit it. There it is. Well, I didn't click fast enough. This is a late McFly. Because that was insane. And the ES is below 27 now. I think they're going to want to go back and revisit some of those low areas that they were having trouble getting through yesterday. See, all these guys that sold into that are going to get squeezed now. Could probably take us to 20. I think that I just want to take that because this is really very much off plan, but that was just crazy. I wish
Block
that
buy.
I kind of wish that I could just hold my trade, but like, yeah, it's not. We're not that down that much, and they're still struggling keeping it below 27. They may yet still hold it out. It seems like these buyers are not capitulating yet. In the E-mini, that is. Okay. That downtick was a little bit fast. I'm seeing that the gold is at a high of the day. I don't see anything on Twitter other than just some discussion about the PMI numbers. That was unexplainable order flow.
Gary Rich says the YM keeps toying me. Down 30 up 20, hem reminds me of strip clubs up and down the pole.
Okay. Hey, it works. It works. There's, I mean, on a signal like that, well, let's look at the volume profile where we're at and how long we've been today. I don't know. I'm having a hard time seeing like, um, you know what I need to do is I just need to add VWAP bands on this thing. Hold on. Turn off the area colors. I hate that. So I took that at 5:15. I mean, I could wait for the 20, but there's a big order there. I'm a little unsure about that one. Okay, so we're still in the second deviation. So if we were to move up, there's still a little bit of room before we're in like, oh my gosh, this move is like insane territory. This is still a moderately sized move in comparison to the VWAP and the most recent action. But, pretty strong uptrend for no discernible reason. Really strong order flow.
M says ready for some Wuhan research?
Some Wuhan research. Does that maybe there's some stuff going on with the virus? I don't, man. A second U.S. confirmed case of coronavirus in Chicago. That must be it. That's got to be it.
M says Chicago Corona.
Chicago Corona. That's got to be it. $13K at 02. Jeez. Well, there's one part of me.
Uzi Knesset says he said coronavirus lol.
Yeah, why do I keep saying that? Kenora, it's coronavirus. I think the first time I ever read it, I read it wrong, and I just got the wrong pronunciation stuck in my head. There's one part of me that is like, oh, I could get more of this, and I should have tried to get more than 2. But there's another part of me that is like, I would be so incredibly nervous watching this, and I'm glad that I'm not a part of it. 13K at 20 and 10K at 15. Or sorry, at 02 and 01.5. Insane. And look at it in the 5-year. 5K on each side.
Lucas says insane action, went short at 020 but damn just took one right there at 015.
This is literally in the 3 years
Gary
I've been
Rich
watching
says,
Orderflow.
Did you see the Chinese woman who beat Serena Williams at the Aussie Open? Man, so many egg rolls in the crowd. Lol, not racist, I'm Asian and have my Amazon race card ROFL.
I didn't see that. No, this is straight up one of the largest volume events I've ever seen. I mean,
M says 50
this
French
is particularly
companies in Wuhan,
unique.
Air France, Alcatel, etc.
This is particularly unique Orderflow right here. I've seen bigger moves. I think I've seen bigger absorption, but just this kind of like out of nowhere, the way that the bidders just held all of that selling and bid it up is insane.
Lucas says what's going on, Seth?
So Lucas, it looks like that the market may be bidding up the treasuries
Lucas
because
says, did virus spread?
Because
Uzi
there was
Knesset
a
says sellers drag buyers to 12. Thinking face.
So the headline is second U.S. confirmed case of coronavirus has been confirmed in Chicago. The Illinois Department of Health says it is travel related. The individual had traveled to Wuhan. So at this point, then the question is, how many people did he come into contact to, right? It could just be an isolated case. It's not the first case here in the United States, but if he spread it around Chicago, then you probably can't stop it at that point.
Uzi Knesset says Chicago. Oh no, the CME is in danger. Lucas says I see. They are being a little overdramatic, honestly, lol.
They I don't know. I mean, I really don't know. So I said this in the opening. I know most of you guys usually aren't here by that point, but my edge in news says 2 things. 1, the media will tend to overhype this sort of a thing because they don't want to talk about other stuff.
Gary Rich says an Uzi lol buy pit traders. Oh wait, they gone already.
Number 1, they're going to over-exaggerate things. And number 2, the impact on the markets might not be as strong as they expect. Okay? But he should call his guy ASAP. Guys. So there's those 2 things. But then there's something else that says to me, okay, I don't know a whole lot about how viruses spread. I'm not an expert in this area. This is highly speculative stuff. So this is a sort of thing where the experts might say X and be completely wrong and guessing about how many people it could affect and how contagious it is. And, you know, it's going to end up being more contagious than we thought, or more deadly than we thought, or less deadly than we thought. Like, it's very difficult to make a long-term trade just off of that piece of news. It's so incredibly speculative in nature, and the information and the tools that we have are going to be less reliable in this spot. So, yeah. but the market definitely did something crazy there. And now seeing the squawks confirming a second case of coronavirus looks like a very probable explanation for the order flow. But to explain again, we have been seeing 10K absorptions from 31 to 02. So in the past 6 ticks, we've been seeing strong absorption that I would only tend to see on an auction day. 20K at one price, I've only seen that on an auction day. So, and those happened very quickly too. Like 10,000 traded, ticked up, 10,000 traded, it ticked up. I've never seen absorption against a trend like that. That is so crazy. CDC says 63 cases are being looked at in the USA. Okay. I'm so scared I'm gonna lose my child to coronavirus, guys. I'm like, oh my gosh. So if you guys weren't here the other day when we were talking about it, my wife was pregnant. She's due like February 15th, and the baby is in the breech position right now, which means that he is positioned feet first. And by this point in the pregnancy, his head should be down. And my wife is doing a bunch of stuff to try and get him to turn around. And I don't know if any of this stuff is actually going to work, but he doesn't want to turn around. So I'm all concerned about him being in the breech position. You can give birth in the breech position, of course, but my wife tends to have big babies. Look at that, 4,000 at 02.5. And so the chances are that she would have to get a C-section at that point.
Live Action says he wants to come out running.
She would have to get a C-section at that point, and it takes like 13 weeks to fully recover from a C-section. She's really nervous about it. And they can do a thing where they flip the child over, but she's like, I want to do all of these stretches and exercises and first to try and loosen things up so that he's more likely to turn. And one of her friends said that they did turn the baby, but like then the baby came out bruised, and I'm just like, oh my gosh, like I don't know. So that has me stressed out already, right? And then there's the coronavirus.
Gary Rich says consider off some corona at the impeachment hearing and get that crap off the air. Lol.
So here I am. I'm all worried about my baby. We have to have a C-section, and now I'm like, as they're gonna be born and then be hit by the coronavirus epidemic. Ugh.
John 25 says I was a breech babe.
Oh, you were? Okay, cool. Yeah, my understanding is that it's not like a huge deal if you're a breech baby, but the problem is that my wife has like 8-pound babies.
John 25 says I'm only slightly messed up.
Only slightly messed up. Okay, we just had a big outside bar there in the evening.
YM is awesome drop, baby drop.
Well, if I had somehow been able to hang on to that trade that I took onto the open, we would have been up big time by now, $100. But I think still that I traded my edge based on what I had. There's no way for me to know that whether they would have pushed through that 27 or not. Now that we're below 27, I suppose if we got another trade, we could take it. But it's kind of getting to the point where I should probably get ready to go. So I won't take another trade. I thought that I did pretty good today. I did really, by the way, like let's look, we want to look at like the whole week, shall we? Because the week was pretty good. I don't think that overall the amount that we made was amazing. 159. So let's what's the best way to do this?
Live Action says nice parley that. Ace Trades says at Lucas no need, still short from way up before opening.
Oh, actually cancel. We just do this.
Live Action says talk about wild. The newspaper handicapper yesterday gave the winner in every race and no one played. Pick 6 paid $190,000 for $2 bet.
Z. There we go. So we took one. I forget which one it was that I was like, shouldn't count.
Gary Rich says holy crap.
Still going, right? Now we're only taking 2 or 3 ticks on each of these, but $171 in a week is pretty damn good for me. And so many winners. It looks like the probability on this trade is really good.
Lucas says at ACE trades, oh wow, that's amazing. How many points?
You're still short from that, huh? Oh, wow. Good job, man. So jealous.
Gary Rich says no, the handicapper.
When I took that trade from here to here, there was some absorption and I didn't want to mess with that. That was definitely a situation where I could have tried to hold it, right? Just because the impulse was so out of nowhere. There's, you can make a reasonable bet that it's going through. That's highly speculative of a trade though, and I didn't want to take that and be like, mess up any stats or anything. I've probably been a little bit too cautious this week. Man, what are we going to put on the title of today's video? That was crazy.
Gary Rich says I'm gonna milk this YM cow. Daddy needs a new car.
Insane. Orderflow. 20K icebergs.
Ace Trades says at Lucas still short from 3,332.75.
In Chicago. I'm just going to say confirmed coronavirus case in Chicago, insane order flow.
Gary Rich says at Ace Hala Playa.
Boom, boom, boom. Now, can they continue from here? From what I see, they could.
Ace Trades says at Gary Rich, let's not forget all the bad calls. Lucas says at ACE Trades I bought and sold and sold and bought and lost sight of the bigger picture.
Daddy
Ace
needs
Trades
a new
says
car.
also, coronavirus isn't all that bad, people get it and overcome it all the time.
Yeah, well, so Ace...
Luis Alarid says yen rising with the bonds.
Looking at the statistics that we've had so far, there's about...
Ace Trades says at Lucas, but you are green?
There's about like a 4% fatality rate, which is actually pretty high comparable to smallpox, but most of the people that have died so far are like old men that with very weak immune systems. So it's probably not as deadly as people are making as it is in our minds. Probably if you or I got sick with coronavirus, we're not going to die.
Gary Rich says at ACE yes. Sometimes you gotta be a gangsta in these wicked markets.
I'm concerned though about like my infant child, or they would be at
Ace
risk.
Trade says 4%. I kill more than 4%.
So that's why I'm concerned about it. You know, you, and but here's the other thing is it gets people
Lucas
very
says that
sick.
ACE trades yes by half a point.
How much is he going to absorb on this? Holy shit. Because it creates pneumonia symptoms, and it looks like the amount of people that actually get the pneumonia symptoms is pretty high. So if there's an epidemic in China, which it looks like has a moderate probability of happening, that could definitely affect the economy. I don't think that it would be nearly as significant as the market is making it out to be right now, but it's not unfounded concern in my perspective. But like I said, I'm
Ace
not
Trade
a
says you
disease
live with
control
modern
expert.
medicine. Your family will be fine. We got this. Everyone relax. Stand down. My wife had it. She kicked its ass.
A coronavirus? Wait, are we saying that there's now a confirmed case of coronavirus in no, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. Fake news.
Gary Rich says I'm going for a full hundy on YM.
Oh man,
Daddy
Gary,
looking
good
good.
job. Do you guys think when it first pierced 27 and I didn't see the order flow that I wanted, then I
Ace
took it
Trade
off?
says yup. This was a couple years ago.
Do you
Live
think
Action says Russell is really weak today. Figures News said small caps were being bought up.
you can be honest, just your honest opinion? Do you think that taking that trade off was the right call or the wrong call? Taking into account like my own edge and the trade and everything, do you think that we executed the trade correctly? So we would have gotten $50 off of it, right? More than that now.
Luis Alarid says no Corona beer this weekend for sure. He.
Are they going to have to rename their company and they don't want to be associated with the virus? Man. Well, it's still bid at 0.3, so I don't know, man. That's insane. So I took it right here. Probably could have gotten 3 or 4 off of it, but
Live Action says Russell trades much easier now after CME took it over from ICE. Abid changed tick value.
oh yeah? Well, that's good to know. See, I'm still seeing this in the E-mini, right? I don't, at this point though, I don't think
Uzi
it's a good
Knesset
thing.
says G's at 901 at evens and ZP might be waiting a while lol.
So when it was at 27,
Uzi Knesset says 861 sorry.
when it was at 27 and they were fighting it, it was like, okay, it looks like these buyers aren't going to give up, and there's a pretty good chance that they're going to be able to effectively defend the 27 area. Now that we're below 27, the treasury market is doing insane things and stuff like that. When I see this kind of fight in the E-mini, that kind of suggests to me that there's still buyers out there trying to buy the dip and that it could get worse, or that you're going to get a pullback up to like 33.20 and then they'll start hitting it again.
Ace Trade says okay, she is gone. My wife insisted I tell that she had coronavirus, and while she has had a lot of health problems, I'm not sure if it was corona. Uzi Knesset says Evensbro growing, definitely wants to bring it down.
Oh man. I'm sad that I'm not gonna see it this weekend, Ace. You guys, you find a time. If it's a Tuesday, or Friday, or Saturday, I'll come down to you. Just a drop of a hat. You just let me know. So I'd
Bot
like
says
to come
nice
meet you
move
guys.
in S back to prior days open 3,317.25.
Okay. Where is my volume profile? Well, so I see a step in the profile at 331475.
Uzi
It
Knesset
looks.
says you'll come to Florida on a Tuesday? Lol. Ace Trade says got a family birthday party to go to. Sorry, we will figure something out.
Yeah, that makes sense. Like the thing was, is we didn't plan it very well, anyways, because I would have liked to have done it maybe like last week or something, but we were dealing with
Gary
sickness
Rich
and
says
we're
why don't you
lazy.
two just Skype and have bro internet love? Lol.
Well, we do. We've spoken on the phone, so but I want to meet in person. Like, the thing I've gotten in
Uzi
this
Knesset
mode.
says haha.
So here, I'll go on a little dissertation here, but so this is something that kind of bothers me. So yeah, I'll hear a lot of people say like, "Oh, I have no friends." So everybody has this weird idea that you're supposed to have a ton of friends, and the statistics show they've done studies on this. Most people don't actually. Most people have like one or two people that they consider to be really good close confidants, and everybody else are just kind of like acquaintances for the most part. That's the statistics on at least in today's society. That's the way that it is, and I think that I personally have gotten into this mode where like, especially because I go to the gym so much, right? So all my friends are at the gym, but outside of the gym, we don't really do a whole lot with people anymore. So I'm like, oh look, here's some people that maybe we could do something with it from time to time. I want to do that, but at the same time, I don't, I have like one or two close friends, and right now it's really my parents because they live down down the street from us. That's the way it's supposed to be. You know what I mean? But I feel like this is a feeling that a lot of people feel. So, broke back mountain stuff. Good grief, guys! Come on, come on. Wonder. So they did come back there pretty good in the E-mini. They're gonna dive down again. The treasuries have
Gary
backed
Rich
off
says at Ace Bros
significantly,
before Hose Bro code 101.
Something that's interesting about today and the strategy that I've been trading, there are some moves that normally would have really messed me up. This right here and this right here would really make me want to think about going short. No. Ace says, I'm usually the big spoon, but I don't mind being the little spoon every once in a while. How come it's not reading that one out yet? Oh no, it had an unhandled exception. Oh my gosh. Let me try reading it out again.
Ace Trade says I am usually the big spoon, but I don't mind being the little spoon once in a while.
Once in a while.
Gary Rich says it Ace tops or bottoms.
Oh man. I'm just
Ace
telling
Trade
you.
says too far for me.
Don't y'all's get any ideas. I do not like anything anywhere close to my butthole. I'm just no. I hate that feeling. Oh man. I could go into it, how they're like, how do you know that? But no. Ace is like, too far from me, gotta go.
Says, gotta go. Everyone have a good day. Have a good day, weekend.
Oh man. Oh, that ZB really come back there now. 04. Where'd it go? Oh, I brought it over here. That really came back. So here again, I would be like, let's go short. But the strategy says not to. And like the thing is like, look at it. It's only catching like, badoop, badoop. You don't catch a ton, but it's like, it's so safe.
Gary Rich says same.
I think Gary Rich is in the same boat with me. I don't know. You ever
Live
been...
Action says ditto.
You ever just been like, screwing around with your wife and you get poked
Bot
in the
says
wrong
I've got to
spot?
run too. Have a great weekend all.
No. I don't like that feeling. I'm just saying. You're right though. We took that one too far. We took that one too far. What else do we need to do here? We need to add this over to here. So let's do that. SMA. There's a couple of things that I said, yeah, we'll look at this and later. And then we didn't, and I don't remember what they are now. Median. Typical and weighted. What is typical? One bar over and one bar period. Oh, and then we're gonna make it a square. And I think I want to keep it solid, but let's not make it gold. Let's make it like something that will really stand out to me, like magenta. Okay. Okay. So we are breaking above that, and we're in a new time frame. This could
Live action says at bots
pullback.
YT.
Could be a pullback here.
Kaka Silva says lost over $100.
Kaka, what happened? Were you long off of that E-mini thing? Did Gary Rich take advantage of you? I'm gonna blame Gary because Gary made $100 and you lost $100. You made more than $100. I think when he was talking like 100 points, wasn't he? Or 100 ticks. Okay, they're back to 20. They're claiming this part in the profile. They might build a little bit of volume through here now, and this might be the profile. So the down move might be over for now. So I can buy it now, right? That's what that means. You can buy it. The hourly time frame is green. They're going to try and make it back above 33.25. Right? Yeah, 33.25. And they would not be too hard. Would not be too hard. Not over yet, folks. Interesting. So here I got this one, and then we got this one. So here on the Heiken Ashi bars are so very different. So Gary, if you're still there, why do you like it as Heiken Ashi bars, and does that factor
Jerry
into the way that you traded
I'm
at all?
happy I did not donate to the market today.
Yeah. It could have been ugly if you really fought it, huh? I felt like, though, that this one gave a lot of warning about what it was going to do. This was kind of this was one of those ones where, like, in the treasury market, it does something super crazy, and you're like, that can't be real. There's no way that this is either like one of the craziest up moves that we're ever gonna have. Or
Live action says me too, been there, not fun.
See, I don't know if what makes the Heiken Ishii bars more useful, but yeah, we'll run with it for now. Weighted moving average is kind of nice.
Gary Rich says I like the Ha because the normal candles have too much red green. Hard to wait for additional signal.
Oh, okay. Well, I'm kind of coloring mine differently anyways. So that probably doesn't matter. And I'm guessing that you want to, if we're below the weighted moving average, you want to be selling. If we're above the weighted moving average, you want to be buying, right? And then the
Live
Fisher
action
transform.
says I think it was a Wednesday in June last year.
I'm guessing that you're using the Fisher transform to
Gary Rich says ha
take
has and
profits.
shows the longer trends in them.
Yeah. I'm guessing that this was probably partly to tell you when to get out. This gets the Fisher transform goes too far to one extreme, then maybe you want to get out. I don't know if I could scalp just on that, but I felt like that on the trades that we took today, we were able to control our risk a lot better,
Taka
weren't
Silva
we?
says was shorting a stock.
Because I took well, like for instance, Ace gave a signal and I waited for it to come back up to that line and I took it there at that line and
Gary
it was
Rich
great.
says yes. I wait for additional candles to confirm the transform is for oscillating between extremes of the range.
Gotcha. I'm wondering now I'm thinking, and then we should probably start posting our crypto notes and going. But I'm wondering if Lizard's got something related to Fisher transform. What would it be under? Isn't there one that's just all indicate? There we go. Okay. Fibs. No. Nope, it doesn't. You know, I don't know if I would really use a whole lot of these indicators, but like what he's offering, one-time payment of $150 for all 135 indicators, and there's such great indicators and he's done such a good job. I want to give him the money just because I'm so impressed with what he's contributed to the community and the package that he's put together. And he's offering it for such a reasonable price. But I don't know. I don't know if I'd actually use any of them. Every once in a while, I'll come in here like when I'm bored and be like, okay, let's see if we see anything like what is so Tillerson T3. What is that?
Gary Rich says who is that?
This is Fat Tails. He posts on Futures.io as Fat Tails. So you guys might be more familiar with that name. But it's lizardindicators.com and he has a bunch of indicators that are useful. So like that's where I get like the opening range indicators from and stuff. Smoothest moving averages and his
Live Action says I used the Fisher transform many years ago.
He's got so
Jerry is awake says yes, good stuff.
So I'll just give you an for instance where his indicators are kind of special. He has all these Fibonacci retracements that will show you the fibs from the past month or whatever. But he'll also have ones he can tell you like where it came from. Chart Patterns Like the Pros is the book that it came from. He applies Keltner channels. So here he's doing Fibonacci levels, but it's not just like when you go and you draw a little fib thing on a chart like you normally do. You're getting a little bit more than that, you know, and that tends to be the case with most of his indicators. Like when you look at the advanced version of it. So there's always a little extra thing that nobody else has that makes it special. They're cool. But you know, it's most of them are technical analysis, unfortunately. Like he has got volume analysis in here. Relative volume. I would really like to see Lizard, take some of the stuff that I've been doing. Maybe I should contact him. Because I would like to see, hey, okay, here we got this thing that tells us stacking and pulling. Let's take some of that statistical analysis that you're running on these other indicators and apply it to this to get something to tell us when that stacking is unusual. Because I think that's the next step here. We've done enough. We've watched it all week. There's no question there are more cancels than stacks. They'll stack it on big and then pull it off little bit by little bit. It's probably the only way that could be happening. And when price moves, there tends to be orders canceling in front of it. So what we need to do now is we need to find a way to say, when is that happening in order to take them? So if we come back here, how come? Oh, it's just because it changed so much. Did I refresh this chart too? I did. So from here, it doesn't matter. But just for instance, like on this one, okay, here there was a significant pull. And that's around where you want to start buying, I think. So now I think that we just need to do a little bit of analysis so that we can give ourselves like a little sound to alert us to that they're pulling and ready to go. Or maybe find a way to predict when those events are going to happen. I don't know how I feel about the Heiken issue bars, but I'm thinking, well, in the ATR also, I understand why you put it on there and everything. I'm not sure if I myself find it useful. I think I would rather have my little swing indicator, or just there's some other stuff that I'm going to be writing soon, I think, to kind of give me an idea of how far things go and stuff. But most indicators work, just depends on what one wants. They all work depending on the indicator. My charts used to look like a little spaghetti. Yeah. So like the I don't know if the ATR helps. I might get rid of that. The Fisher transform definitely helps though. This thing that Uzi gave us definitely helps. So I'm thinking that I might just add Fisher transform over onto this chart. Cool. That's pretty good for now. Maybe the weighted moving average too. That was a weighted moving average 10, right? Yeah, that's all fine and good. One day you'll give a brother something back. I think that we've given some good stuff. I tell you what, we're doing some research on this one trade, this continuation trade that we got. I'm impressed. I don't want to sit down and say like it definitely works, because there's a lot of unique things about this week that might not happen next week, and maybe means, that we haven't seen the place where it does poorly. But I think the thing that I'm seeing about this system that makes it so appealing to me is that the market condition that would make this not work very well, it just doesn't give signals. So, hey, then we just use something else in those areas. And I can see very clearly, right? Because we have to be above these 3 lines, right? We have to be above these 3 lines. So if we come back here when it was earlier, or like when it's in here, right? Different strategy. And putting the volume profiles on here is, oh my god, so useful. This is something. I might be overspeaking here, but that to me is so far is something that I think should become a lot more common, because I can see, normally I can see, okay, yeah, we're moving up, But here on this one, like, look, we moved up, but look where the point of control was. They were the same. It was telling you right there that the trend was diminishing. And the volume told you that. I guess the adaptive CCI told you that, but nothing else really did. Live action, I ask how many others are reacting to the same indicator. I don't know. Here's the thing, is that, like, here's where indicators have problems, right? I've found is a lot of the indicators that tend to work for entries and stuff. Well, like the Fisher transform, for instance. Fisher transform does a good job of showing us where we are in relation to the most recent range to give us a good idea of entry and exit locations and stuff. But on that move, you're gonna get that freak move, you know, and it's gonna be useless. And if you're just straight trading the indicator, you're gonna get that day where the indicator's wrong over and over and over and over again, and that's where a lot of edges I've found have problems. So, but there again is where I really have a hard time seeing myself ever doing a strategy that doesn't have some degree of volume component behind it. But the way that I'm starting to do it is I've been using these charts to identify what I would call conditions. For instance, that a price has been rejected or whatever the situation is. And then I'm looking at the cumulative delta and the volume to confirm if that's really what was happening. And then if it does, then I'm trying to use, hopefully, the next step of this is using these indicators to pick a statistically optimal price and see some order confirmation in that location. When we took that one at 33, I said, okay, like that's the midpoint where like I should have a hard time. Well, not should have a hard time getting filled, but like where, you know, above or below that line is a better or worse position. And like they had a really hard time trading into it. So I said, okay, yeah, I think this is a good price. And it was. I don't think that one ever went against me, did it? Take this off and just show today. Was this one right here. Never had an adverse tick. Pretty good. Most of these, though. Of course, in the E-mini, that's different. But like these ones in the treasuries, going back, open everything up and refresh back to the start of the week. The adverse excursion on these treasury trades is very minimal. Very minimal. Oh man, that is, you know, it's funny because I remember that 1 week where I won every day, where I didn't have a single losing trade the whole week, and that was about the same amount of money. And here I did it, but with far less risk. I'm excited. Hopefully it works out. Hopefully it continues to perform well. It's way too early. We shouldn't be counting our eggs before they hatch. Right? One needs a blended approach, part technical analysis, profile, order flow, volume, and price action. Yeah, I think so. You know, the way I've been looking at it, Gary, is I think that there are some things that definitely dictate the way that the market works, but that don't necessarily give you an edge. They just put you to break even. Like volume profile, I feel like you could trade volume. I think that just about anybody could go and study volume profile and just trade the things that we're commonly told about volume profile. And if they get really good at it, they'll trade break even. You know, so it's like the more that we learn about the markets, the higher this floor is that you need to get above to be break even at, you know. So you've absorbed all this market knowledge about this is the way that the market tends to behave. And then you have to go and you've got to find your own edge that's unique to you that not everybody in the market is aware of to get that extra edge. In this case, the degree to which a trend is likely to get pushed in CB based on certain characteristics. Okay, I'm still having a problem with my cryptocurrency stuff, but I think it's time for me to go, so I will leave you. Good week. I will see you guys on Monday. Hopefully I can backtest some of this stuff soon. And yeah, I don't really have anything else to say. Be careful using too many indicators. Most just show what you already see, but in a lagging way, and you could easily get caught in analysis paralysis. Yeah. Well, live action. What I'm doing right now is I'm putting a ton of stuff on there and seeing what they do and if they actually help me with the thing that I want or not. And then once we've figured all of that stuff out, then the stuff that we don't use, we get rid of for sure. And I really want to have, a pretty specific system. Not necessarily something that's backtestable, but definitely something that I could give to anybody and they could take exactly the same trades that I do. So, anyways, stay profitable.